What is up, my friends? You are very welcome along to Tuesday evening's Anfield Agenda News Roundup. Over the course of today's video, we're going to be discussing a new contract for Ryan Gravenberch, which is getting very close. We'll be asking, have Liverpool lost out on one winger only to have a better chance of signing another? We'll be discussing the business of football and some competition for Mark Gay's signature. That and lots more over the next few minutes. Tonight we'll be live at 8:45 as always for the Late Night Agenda, and a new edition of the Anfield Agenda podcast will be live at 10:45 p.m. tonight as well. So let's get stuck into it. Right, let's start with Dave Powell, one of the football finance experts, or the business expert I should say, that does a lot of work with the Echo. This particular segment I believe comes from the Anfield Rap podcast, and it's Dave Powell talking about the importance of business in football and these commercial partnerships. He said every other week there seems to be a commercial partnership being pulled out, but it's so important because other things will decline in the future, like broadcast revenue. And that got me quite intrigued. I mean, broadcast revenue during my time making content anyway, and probably my time watching football, has only increased year on year on year. So will it decrease? Well, they might know something we don't know. Are we going to get to a streaming model at some point? Are they going to ditch the TV companies? They seem to be preparing for a future with lower incomes from TV companies, so let me know your thoughts on that. But he continued, so clubs will need to continue to pay big wages because Liverpool's wage bill, when the next accounts come out, is going to be £400 million plus. It's a lot of money, and John Henry used to say to the baseball fans at the Red Sox Winter Bowl before he got heckled for it, that baseball players and football players are expensive, so they're not going to get any cheaper. So we're going to see more and more of these commercial deals, and if we did like last year's commercial revenue was around £308 million, it's probably going to be close to £350 million this time. That is a lot of money, isn't it, to be going through? If you take the TV revenues on top of that, then the commercial revenue as well, a lot of money football clubs are turning over year to year. So, a couple of things here from Nico Shearer around Ryan Gravenberch, and thankfully, it's good news, my friends. This piece said that Ryan Gravenberch is getting closer and closer to extending his contract with Liverpool, and it will be a new long-term deal until 2030 or 31. They also go on to say that a Saudi club submitted a huge bid for the Dutch midfielder last summer, but he turned it down to stay at the Reds. Of course he turned it down. Nobody in the early stages of their prime of their career is going to head off to Saudi, especially when you have trophies to be winning in Europe. Ryan Gravenberch may move on to the MLS, to Saudi, to somewhere else in the future, but I don't think that'll be for at least 10 years yet. So, good news there that he looks like he's edging closer to that new deal. Obviously, we know the club are trying to talk with Dominic Szoboszlai, as we've reported on here as well, and Alexis McAllister. Now, Bayern Space have had a very, very interesting bit of information, which, look, they've been proven right on more things that I've seen than wrong over the past few months, particularly around the Florian Wirtz situation. Now, they put out a post that, quite simply, is sublime. I've nothing else to add to this, but let me know in the comments if you agree. Massive salute from me to Bayern Space for this, because I think they've absolutely nailed it. They write, in today's era, Florian Wirtz is the closest thing we have to an Andreas Iniesta. Iniesta never needed numbers to prove that he was the best midfielder alive. His football was the evidence, every touch its own argument. This generation is obsessed with goals and assists, drowning in goals and assist merchants, and somehow forgets what real midfield artistry actually looks like. I absolutely love that comment, the way it's worded, the way it's articulated, all of it. And they're absolutely spot on. I do my nut in hear people going on consistently just about goals and assists. I know my football. You know your football. When we see a good footballer on a pitch, we know. That's why I've been at pains to keep saying I have no doubts about Florian Wirtz, no doubts that he'll succeed at Liverpool, and I can't wait, and I'm sure you guys are the same, to ram this doubt back down people's throats when, not if, when the kid starts to tear it up. So, let's talk about former Liverpool coach Vitor Matos. So Maritimo manager Vitor Matos is the leading contender to take over as Swansea City's new manager. Of course, wishing him all the best if he does make that move. Now, I said at the start of the video that we've got one bit of negative news on a winger that may lead to another bit of positive news on a winger. So Football 365 have said that Arsenal settled on an offer of 60 million euro plus a further 20 million euro in achievable bonuses for Real Madrid winger RODRYGO. Now, we spoke last night about Arsenal, of course, having an interest in Antoine Semenyo, and I said to you, I believe they're probably going to end up moving for RODRYGO. This piece goes on to say, manager Xabi Alonso of Madrid is willing to accept such an approach as the Brazilian has not established himself as a starter this season. RODRYGO has only played 24% of the available minutes for Madrid and is hardly featuring in the Club World Cup, or hardly featured in the Club World Cup as well. So where we're going with this is basically, I think we will have a free run at Semenyo with regards to the us and Arsenal thing. Both clubs looking at wide attacking players. Arsenal seemingly more linked with RODRYGO. So this is what we spoke about last night, about Liverpool having to act quickly, go in there, get that Semenyo release clause sorted out, get him in the January window if possible, or maybe they'll get the nod that Arsenal are going to go towards RODRYGO and maybe wait till the summer. It's a bit more risky if you hang off till the summer. We do know, as per David Ornstein's reporting yesterday, that the release clause will be lower in the summer. But Liverpool also know £65 million buys you Antoine Semenyo in January without having to fall out with Bournemouth or to try a tricky negotiation. Now, there was a report from INIESTA, I know, pitch us all time, that said Liverpool have been speaking behind the scenes for about 2 months with Bournemouth to try to figure out a deal for Semenyo. Now, that could be to do with the way the release clause is paid, or it could be absolute nonsense, one or the other. Either way, the club know what they have to do. If we want them, he's there for the taking. It's over to Messrs Hughes and Edwards now to see what they're made of. See if they are going to bring him in. Do let me know your thoughts on this though, because if I'm saying we need a player in January, it's a centre-back and it's Mark Gay. After that, I don't mind. If they want to bring in a wide player, wouldn't say no. But ultimately, centre-back for me is #1 priority. And on that, this report here from Transfer Sector said that Barcelona are monitoring Mark Gay's situation at Crystal Palace. Now, I don't think we have anything to worry about there, but it's football. Anything is possible. It does look like Mark Gay is edging towards Liverpool based off the reporting. We've seen that Real Madrid apparently pulled out of the race because of his wages. I don't think that's the case. I think, and others think, that they've been given the nod that Mark Gay has given his word to Liverpool and that he will become a Liverpool player. So I'm not too worried about this link to Barcelona, but of course I can understand why they'd be interested in a potential free transfer of the calibre of Mark Gay. But again, will we see Liverpool act here in January? One report said this week that Liverpool are going to go all out to sign Mark Gay in January. Here's hoping that they're right, because we could do with them, and of course we could do with some positive news as well around the situation for Ibrahim Konate. So ladies and gents, that is where we're at for now. Don't forget, tonight, 8:45, we'll see you for the Late Night Agenda. Myself, Connor and Chris are recording another episode of the Anfield Agenda podcast, which, as I said, will be out at 10:45 tonight on Spotify and, of course, right here on YouTube. Thank you so much for your continued support, especially during the international break. I've really enjoyed the streams we've been having, getting to know you guys a little bit better as well, and I look forward to seeing you tonight. Take care. Have a good one. Bye-bye.